We left off last time with a proposal that in this episode we will finally beat this mod once and for all. I'm here to turn that proposal into a promise and that promise into a reality. This mod has no real win condition beyond the vanilla goal of launching a rocket, but I think that would be too easy for this mod, too cheap. A certain technology, titled Warptorio Homeworld, caught my eye as it is seemingly a perfect win condition. It essentially allows you to return to the first planet you spawned on, and if that's not a perfect movie ending, I don't know what is. Plus, it takes a bit of space science to research, so we still get an excuse to launch a couple rockets. Firstly, I researched beacons and put them to work. At the end of the previous episode, when I placed down these labs, I didn't really consider the issue of throughput, that I might make too much science for these labs to consume. Up until this point, my production had been so limited I barely saw it as a possibility, but looking now, this number of labs is simply pathetic. I get lab research speed queued up, but in the meantime, I can use these beacons as a band-aid solution to speed up science consumption. Beaconed labs. That is something I've never had to do before. Another, perhaps more egregious, mistake I made last episode was the complete omission of military science. I fell into the trap throughout this playthrough of hand-feeding military science rather than automating it at every stage, but that's time I can't afford to waste at this point. I mean, I couldn't afford to waste it back then either, but only now do I have the sense to realise it. Military science is a bit of a stone hog, so I set up a stone mine preemptively to make sure we aren't running out. These lesser resources will only continue to be a pain in the arse, since they often aren't worth dedicating a whole harvester platform to, but mining like these can be quite tedious. Something I touched on in a previous episode was how certain recipes use more of some science packs than others. Commonly, in warp technologies, each point of progress towards the technology might take 2 or 3 red and green science, whilst only using 1 of all the others, which is an aspect I've not seen explored in other mods. For this reason, my red and green science production should actually be at a higher production rate than the rest, for when we do those researches which have that particular quirk. Now, we're coming on a ride along as I set up the harvester platforms, just so you don't forget that I'm having to do this every single time we warp. It's not just plonking the miners onto any old patch anymore, we're also clearing out the neighbourhood to make sure they survive as long as possible. At the next patch, the Biton neighbourhood is on our copper, so we tactically displace them by firing bullets to reduce the local land value, causing the biters to move out. No war crimes were filmed in the making of this documentary. There's still a big nest nearby, but the forest between us and them will hopefully disincentivise them from smelling us and tragically, accidentally, walking straight into a searing hot laser beam. Finally, we can place down our environmentally friendly mining platforms on the copper patch. You can tell it's green because that's what colour we painted the turrets. Hey, I've seen this one, this is a classic. What do you mean you've seen this? It's brand new. Sheesh, that was close. Well, I'm never going outside again. Before the attempt on my life, I was out looking for oil, but that's clearly not happening now. That's an issue I have with this mod, being that you can only pick up the planetary teleporter from the deployed side, not from the platform, unlike harvester platforms, where you can pick them up from both the platform and the deployed side. This means, to get it back and continue our oil search, I'd have to venture back into that death trap, which... No, I'll live without the oil, thank you. But we don't need oil to make oil.
Stupid!
We can use coal thanks to coal liquefaction, which we're researching right now. I've cleared out a little cook corner for it here, for it to watch everything else being useful, for the 90% of the time that it isn't. It's not a massive amount of production, but that's fine, as this is only meant for emergencies to keep a baseline bit of oil production going. Slowly but steadily, we're working through the space science research, so to expedite the process of getting space science once it's finished, I'm going to start stockpiling rocket control units, similarly to how we've been stockpiling rocket fuel since God knows when. They are quite expensive, but with them heavily productivity moduled, and in relatively few assemblers, it hopefully shouldn't flatline our base. One thing you should never ever do is launch a rocket without 4 productivity 3 modules, so I'd best get them producing in the meantime. Between them and the warp beacon, I predict some pretty gnarly productivity gains, which we'll see when we get the silo placed down. Even with those modules, it is incredibly unlikely that 7 low density structure assemblers will be enough, so we add some more in this corner. What the base could really do with is a good redesign to make the most out of all of this new space. But I've just done that, and I'd rather die than do it again. With our rocket silo in pocket like the hench bastard we are, I clear out some space up here to place it down. Obviously, it needs to be within range of the warp beacon for maximum productivity. We set up the satellite assembler as well, despite us not having researched it yet, ready to start producing space science as soon as possible. I also beacon up the fuel assembler for all the difference that'll make. What it really wants is a few more assemblers. With 4 productivity 3 modules and productivity modules in the central beacon, we get up to 62% productivity on the rocket silo. Jesus, I've never said productivity so many times in the same sentence. With this level of productivity, we only need to give it 61.7 rocket parts worth of resources to get the 100 rocket parts to make a rocket. Oh heavens, oh dearie me, oh lord, this is quite a bit of a silly situation we found ourselves in. The fish saved me only momentarily. Eventually, the raw damage of the worms stacks so high, even omega-3 fatty acids can't stop it. But it's okay, it's alright. We have a fully stocked base. We can just get our vital equipment back and get back to work. Coal is low, so for once we're going to actually waste a harvester platform on it, since our copper buffers are actually quite full currently. No, 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 no. God damn you, cliffs. I, I think that's quite enough for now. I think it's quite clear that what has just come to pass cannot be allowed to happen again. It wastes too much time, and most importantly, it pisses me right off. To this end, I'm researching some new equipment to help us survive out there. Namely, we want power armor MK2, some personal laser defense, and some shields. And we will also get some quality of life equipment like better robo parts and some exoskeletons. It's a long process researching and producing all of the very expensive equipment, but during that time, our space science research finishes, so we can start producing white science packs. As soon as we finish building that rocket, that is. Finally, our first rocket emerges from the silo. We need 5,000 white science packs in total, so with 36% productivity in the labs, we should only need to launch 4 rockets to reach our goal of returning to the homeworld. Oh wait, shit, why am I launching a rocket in an enclosed space? This thing has a roof. With our trendy and bougie rocket-shaped skylight freshly installed, the first 1,000 white science packs flow in. 3 more of those and we'll be smooth sailing. Whilst this has been happening, we've been very slowly filling up this power armor. Ultimately, what we want is 2 fusion reactors, 7 or 8 laser defenses, 2 or 3 energy shields, 2 exoskeletons, 2 robot parts, and some batteries to handle power surges. This is a setup I usually run, sometimes swapping out lasers and shields for more exoskeletons and robot parts when I'm outside of combat. Here, I put the last piece in. It's time to take this baby for a spin. Back to the borrowing stuff for a moment. I decided against my better judgment to upgrade the surface defences, despite the fact that we're already closing in on the end, and it likely won't be any better than what we've already got. I won't bore you with the process. The new design is barely any different to the old one, but here is the finished result. Anyways, I think we have some more biters to fight. Warptorio Homeworld research finally finishes, and our win condition is within reach. We're going to return to that little dusty red planet from which we first departed, and bring this 40-hour voyage to an end. To do this, all we need to do is craft this little teleporter consumable, and throw it on the ground near us. Here we go. Jeez, they are everywhere. They must have been expanding the entire time we were gone. I should mention that we have another teleporter thing to get us back to the platform if we so wished, which we actually unlocked a long time ago, but it wasn't important enough for me to mention. I definitely could just teleport back to the platform, but I think a better idea would be to try to bring the platform itself here. I've unlocked the ability to aim it at a specific planet, which it has a 30% chance to obey, so I target it to our homeworld and set it to war. However, little did I know, when I pressed settle, it didn't set our current planet as the homeworld, but the planet that the platform was on. So every time we teleported it to the homeworld, it was just going to some random planet. Specifically, this one, which is a bit stupid of me. Thankfully, the platform has an option to target Nalvis, that being our original planet, so we haven't lost it forever. Victoriously, we return. 40 hours later, the platform touches down on the planet it initially stranded us on. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Warptorio 2. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Special thank you to our patrons: Dick Dastardly Enthusiast, Larry, Marco Zafran, Rupert Van Julio, Matthias Faison, Deadeye, Fen Blue, Jeff Lee, Justice Wingert, Leo, LLL, JJJ, and Ryan Esdale. You guys make this possible.